Hey, my lovely audience. Today I'm going to read Ganesha and Kubera, story told by Vijita Mukherjee, illustrations by Arijit Datta Chaudhary, and color by Sabu Sarasan. So let's get started. Kubera was a yaksha, a magical being who helped people in need. He was the lord of wealth. Kubera's half brother was Ravan, the king of Lanka. There was no one richer than him in the whole universe. He could keep spending and yet his money would never finish. This had also made him a little too proud. He always say, "There is no one richer than me." One day, as he leaned against soft silk cushions on his jewel-studded couch, he thought, "My capital city, Alakapuri, is the most beautiful of all the city in the world, and no other god has a place like mine." He smiled a smug smile. "I am the richest and the most generous of—" "Things are a bit too quiet around here," said his wife, interrupting his thoughts. She was amusing herself by making patterns on the floor with gold, sapphire, and ruby dust. "Let's have a feast," she said. At first, Kubera was the king of Lanka, but Ravan drove him out. "What a wonderful idea!" exclaimed Kubera, perking up. "That way, everyone can admire my enormous wealth. Let's see now, do we have enough gold dishes and plates? If not, get new ones made. Make sure that we serve every kind of food from every land so that our guests can eat what they choose." "I'll inform the cooks," said his wife brightly. "They can start right away. It will take some time to cook all the food. Whom do we call for the feast?" Kubera was so rich that even the jewels under the earth belonged to him. Kubera waved his hand with a flourish and said, "Call everyone and be done with it. After all, when the Lord of Wealth holds a feast, everybody must come." "In that case, I'll need a few hundred more cooks," his wife replied, standing up briskly. "Now I must look into the decorations, the flowers, our new clothes. I have so much work. I'll need a few hundred cooks." Kubera is also called Dhanapati and his wife's name is Bhadra, which means good. Oh, what a flurry there was in all creation! Everyone got their invitations and said they would be happy to come. Alakapuri was dressed up. The palace was painted with a new coat of gold. Beautiful carvings, paintings, and sculptures were used to decorate the already splendid halls. And the kitchens were a birthday and night with chopping, cleaning, dicing, and spicing. Kubera's assistants are heavenly being called Kinara. Meanwhile, Kubera was thinking hard. "If Lord Shiva and his family could be my special guests, everybody would be impressed," he said to himself. "But they rarely leave Mount Kailasha, their home in the Himalayas. Perhaps if I go and invite them myself, they will not be able to refuse." Kubera made his way to the freezing cold peak of Mount Kailasha. Mount Kailasha is in Tibet. Shiva was happy to see Kubera, but when Kubera asked him to come for the feast, he smiled and said, "I don't feel comfortable at such grand feast. Besides, Parvati is busy and our son Kartikeya is out fighting demons." Kubera was very disappointed. "Lord, I have told everyone that you and your family will be there," he said. "Everyone knows that I am one of your greatest followers. They will laugh at me if you don't come. Kartikeya is commander-in-chief of the army of gods." "In that case," said Shiva, "I'll send our other son Ganesha, but I wonder if you'll be able to feed him well. He is a growing boy after all." Just then, a sweet and chubby little boy with an elephant head came out of the cave laughing and chasing a mouse. Kubera laughed. "This little boy? My lord, I'm feeding thousands, no, millions that day. Please send him and I'll make sure that he has the most wonderful meal ever." Ganesha is said to ride on a mouse. Well, the grand day finally arrived. What wonderful aromas wafted from the kitchens of Kubera's palace in the early dawn. But who was this knocking so early at the palace gates? Kubera's palace was built by Vishwakarma, the architect of the gods. Why, it was little Ganesha. Mother told me that I have to eat here today, he said. It's been a long journey from Kailasha. Where is the feast? We'll start very soon, said Kubera, patting Ganesha on his head. Why don't you wash and change into some lovely new clothes while I get you the most delicious food to eat? Ganesha was ready in a jiffy. He then sat down in his place and started to eat. 100 bowls of curds and cream, 100 cups of milk licked clean, basins full of fruits and nuts, some served whole and some just cut, mounds of rice with hot rasam, sweet and kheer and chilled payasam, halwa, puri, shrikantu, juicy modaks, fat laddus. What chaos! Helpers scurried to and from the kitchen trying to refill Ganesha's plate as soon as he emptied it. Kubera frantically ordered more food from around the world, but little Ganesha ate and ate till the cooks were cramping the bottom of all the vessels. Ganesha's belly is said to contain the whole universe. More food, please, said Ganesha sweetly. Or wait, you must attend to your other guests. They haven't even started eating. I'll go to the kitchen and help myself. Ganesha is also known as Vinayak and Ganapati. Ganesha went in and finished all the food in the kitchens. He finished everything that was kept in the storerooms and he chomped up everything that was growing in the gardens. But he was still hungry. Give me something to eat. Then he frowned. I thought there would be a grand feast, he said angrily. You don't even have enough food to feed a little boy like me. Give me something to eat, or else you know that I am the chief of my father's warriors, his Gana. The Ganas are Shiva's attendants and live on Mount Kailasha with him. As Ganesha advanced menacingly towards him, Kubera turned and ran. He ran and ran till he reached the sacred Mount Kailasha. He knew that only Shiva could protect him from angry Ganesha. Ganesha is known as the destroyer of pride. Lord, save me, cried Kubera, falling at Shiva's feet. My stores were never empty. I was so proud of my wealth, and today a child has single handedly finished it all. Ganesha has eaten everything in my palace, and he's still hungry. Well, we have just finished lunch, smiled Shiva. Turning to Parvati, he asked, I wonder if you have anything left for Ganesha? I saved a small laddu and a little roasted rice for his evening snack, said Parvati. Give this to him, Kubera, with all your love and without any pride in your heart. Ganesha loved his mother more than anybody else in the world. Just then, Ganesha entered Kailasha searching for Kubera and full of complaints about that awful feast. With folded hands and a heart full of love, Kubera offered him the laddu and the rice. Ganesha held out his chubby little hands for the offering. He munched happily on the snack and smiled at Kubera. He then climbed into his mother's lap and with a gentle burp fell fast asleep. The end. What a funny and interesting story it is. I really loved reading it. I hope my audience, you really enjoyed reading along with me. Do subscribe my channel for more such interesting and fun loving stories coming ahead. Thank you. Bye bye. See you tomorrow.